Welcome. Today we're talking about Project Digiclipse. Project Digiclipse is their self-proclaimed combination of hope, belief, and the theories of members of all Digimon lovers. In a more short Cliff Notes version, Project Digiclipse is a group of people who believe Digimon were real and were embedded within the internet or the digital space, as they called it. It's been increasingly hard to dig up information on Project Digiclipse and the community, and the reason why is because after a lot of the controversy and backlash that they faced, a lot of the forums ended up getting deleted. So we just have to go through and look at what's left and preserved of a community from long ago and explore their lore, I suppose. Initially, they started off as just a group of kids who were having fun, but it quickly turned into something more. Here's where we meet our first and really the most significant character in Project Digiclipse, Poes Law. Based on all that I can tell, Poes Law posted a theory about how there could be Digimon in real life. Whether this was serious, fun, or theoretical, and none of that has really come out of light. However, by the time that he posted that, the fire had already started spreading. The forest was already ablaze. This starts Chapter 1, the beginning. The beginning will start from there with Ninjamon. Ninjamon will end up as the face of the Digimon community by making this post and becoming the face of Digiclipse forever. And it started on February 2009. The post is in part intro that I read. Basically, what he says is Project Digiclipse, a combination of hope, belief, and a theory from members of all Digimon believers. The point is, we believe Digimon exist and we are determined to find a way to bring them to us. The way we attempt to do this is simple yet hopefully effective. We gather all believers that we can find and focus on our goal at the exact same moment across the world. They may be toys, but many of them are symbolic, even spiritual connections to our partners, and will act as a bridge between the worlds. In that, he's talking about Digivices. The theory was that if a bunch of people held up their Digivices to the sky at the same time, the laws of mind over matter would tell them that they could achieve their goal and open a digital portal somewhere close. And this would enable them to get in contact with their partners. And a lot of it was based off of, I guess, historical stuff. It's like they talk about the placebo effect. If you have a sick man a substance that will do nothing to aid or harm him, such as sugar, and tell him his medicine, studies prove that he will feel better simply because he believed he would. I guess they were going off of the principle of belief, which is an interesting concept, admittedly. So, I'd like to clarify, there was originally two main groups, right? Project Digiclipse community was a whole forum. However, the where it really started was Real Digimon Believers, or RDB for short. RDB, unlike PD, which is Project Digiclipse, started as an MSN group. MSN is older than time, and it's still around, I believe, only as like a news site, and a terrible one at that. And a lot of the chat, the entire group actually is now gone, so no messages can be found, and they are kind of like the predecessors for the Project Digiclipse, lasting from 2007 to 2008, where the remaining members would merge with Project Digiclipse. The group would eventually the reason why the group disbanded is because of a mass of harassment from a lot of forums, and especially from 4chan and I believe early Reddit. Now, it's still relevant to talk about some of their achievements. Some of the achievements were a project called Project Digimation, which happened before Project Digiclipse, and the resemblance of the name to Project Digiclipse is a little bit uncanny. And basically this was a internet campaign where they would eventually start making animations, as a couple of the people in the community were adeptly skilled at this, I suppose, and a lot of them were posted to YouTube. I'm not sure how many of them are still up to this day. However, feel free to check that out. I'm sure some of them are still up. I'm going to focus on something that I found interesting, which is manifesting. Manifesting is something super popular with a lot of people on TikTok, especially the people into the astrology, witchcraft, that type of stuff. However, in fact, I would like to argue it was never TikTok who developed this. It was actually the real Digimon believers. And I'm gonna put a I'm gonna put a little post on screen. So basically, they were like the OGs of manifesting before manifesting was real. They believed so heavily in this that a lot of them would do it at certain times and certain techniques, and it's truly interesting, I suppose. Now, we're going to move on to the next big point, which is projects. Similar to any other religious organizations, the Clipsers would find and try many projects. One of these would include mini clips. Every Sunday, people would basically try to manifest a experience with their said partner from the digital world. And this would be done through, I suppose, praying and a lot of manifestation. Now, the practice was always somewhat common throughout the entire group. However, on March 16th, 2008, the first big mini clips would happen, and this will be a date that will live on forever in infamy, akin to the day America gained its independence. To explain to explain as much as I know, it involves a semi-complex ritual to perform and create a portal to the digital world by a lot of people manifesting things together, correct? And I'm going to put a post on the screen that really encapsulates what they are trying to accomplish by this. And there's even a lot of people who were preparing, I guess, for the mini clips. They were talking about how you should get your bags and clothes because you don't know when you'll be taken, so you want to be ready for the Digiclipse. Which is some truly interesting things because it shows like that there were some people who were genuinely super, I guess, unaware or maybe even hopeful that the digital world existed. The many mini clipses was to one day work towards the realizement of the Digiclipse, akin to a solar eclipse but permanent. The link and forum, however, in this little description is actually broken, and it seems like it has been for years, indicating that obviously the site doesn't exist anymore. And even still, I do believe it's quite interesting that I guess that they believed that there would be a permanent world that would occur because of this. The idea is truly interesting. How a whole group of people got invested in this. Now, moving on to religious aspects and oddities that I found within the Project Digiclipse group. So a lot of them are. So here are like some of the. I'm going to start showing some saved forum posts that I managed to find, and this one specifically highlights how Digimon were potentially involved in creating the pyramids. While this is absurd, there is one thing, like a theme that is commonly portrayed in this, and it's that a lot of things that they couldn't figure out themselves, they would put onto Digiclips. I mean, there was even one girl who talked about how, since she was scared of the dark, she thought it was a Digimon who was following her at night, which uh, I'm not one to judge, but I don't think that's the case. And more into the religious aspects is that they eventually created somewhat of a religious destination, if you will. The Digi world was always promised that people would be able to eventually go there, is the entire basis of Project Digiclips as a whole. So, because of this, it kind of shows that many and a lot of members were elated at the idea of quote unquote risking their lives in this perilous digital world to save and protect the people of our world. But maybe this is no different than somewhat of a heaven, I suppose. One more religious aspect they really developed was awakened. Basically, a lot of people talked about how and distanced themselves from a lot of like normal people. They often talked about how other people would call them crazy for their ideas and wouldn't believe them. However, a lot of times the misunderstandings seem to really enforce many ideas. Like, for example, this user specifically left his own religion for the digital world to dedicate his time to the digital world. And along with the bottom text on how Te2 runner needs a purpose while the OP needs none and is fully committed. And I feel like this is like where people start drinking the Kool-Aid, right? When people feel judged, they immediately get defensive about whatever ideas that are in their minds because it's just human nature, you know? And given human nature, I would imagine that a lot of people got sucked in by just defending it, I guess. The one thing that really did shock me was the level of science nerds and realists there were here. I'm saying that term extremely loosely. The community has its own definition of genius. It's truly above the normal human's intellect. You wouldn't get it. Now, thankfully, I do, and I can explain it to you. But I'm not going to go fully into this paragraph just for like the sake of this video being really long. So basically, the whole theory is that they're trying to justify Digimon could exist in the real world with the infinite multiverse theory, which is that there are infinite multiverses upon infinite multiverses. So in anything that you ever have thought about is possible in a certain multiverse. So this really complicates things, and in theory, if the multiverse theory is correct, could it happen? Sure. And what they're banking on is that they're trying to create a portal by collapsing the Digiclipse timeline with our current timeline and merging both of them together, which I guess in turn would help her. Not really sure, to be honest. And like every great religious sect, you have a couple odd age kerfuffles. I'm gonna put a couple of them on the screen. And yeah, I guess it's not surprising given the fact that the age range on the Digiclipse community was like 12 to 25. It really isn't inconceivable that there are some creeps in the community. But like at the end of the day, I still want YouTube recommendations, so I'm most certainly not going to put those text messages in the video. Anyways, really that's it for our tale of Digiclipse. We explored all that we could. And while it may seem like not much, sadly, all of the original forums are deleted, and all we have left are but a few fragments, a few crumbs of the time and heart and soul that these people put into that community. While the idea itself is silly and maybe harmful at some stances, it's still nice to see people gather for like one common goal. You know, I'm going to show you right now the only current Digiclipser, the longest lasting. And he started in 2011 with Digiclipsing, which is near where the project Digiclipse itself would fall, till 2019. From all that I can see, he is the lone survivor of the Digiclipse genocide. At the end of the day, I think we can all be glad that we found this very small and lucrative community, and we could enjoy this experience of looking at some of their obscene ideas and really delving into a pseudo-cult, to be honest. And I thought it was super interesting. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, please like the video, and share it with other people if you think they'd be interested. And at the end of the day, I hope, and actually, if you know, or if you yourself were a part of the Digiclipse community, I would love to get in contact and just talk about how this community used to be, I guess. Thanks. Have Have a good day. You matter. Bye.